and he to whom the Son will reveal himself. And he turned unto his disciples and said privately, Blessed are the eyes which see the thing that you have seen. For I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear, and have not heard them. May God bless his word to our hearts. He was 85 years old when they came to the promised land. It would have been a time when people say it's time to retire. It's time to sit back. You have lived your life. But he was already 85 years old, 40 years before. He was given a promise. And with him and Joshua, they followed up to the command of God. When the others would have came back and said, we can't go up to take the country because there's some giants there. Yeah, the land is good. It's flourishing with riches and goodness. As a matter of fact, they brought back example to show that their finding was evident. It took 12 men to bear one branch of grape. I mean, that's something. To take 12 men carrying one branch of grape on a stake between them, that must be some grape. So which means there was no doubt the land was prosperous. But they said, yeah, in spite of that, it doesn't make any sense because we're not going to get it because too many giants are there. And by the way, where the giants dwell, it's impregnable, we can't break through that. And to make matters worse, in our eyes, I want you to know, they didn't say in the giant's eyes. He said, in our eyes, we are like grasshoppers to them. It's amazing that you would look at yourself a certain way, thinking that what others are thinking of you. Well, but they may not be thinking the same thing. Because when I understood what had happened, the Bible already tells us that the people of the land were already afraid because they knew what God had done to the Egyptians. And yet they say we are like grasshoppers. But I'm not with those kind. I'm with the ones, now the two, who came back and said, yeah, giants are there. But the same God who brought us through Egypt is the same God that we have. And he's able to give us the victory. Let's go up at once and possess the land. They didn't do it because they say majority rules. Majority wins. Well, 10-2, what do you expect? And so the Bible said they stayed 45 years. They wandered. 40 years actually they wandered in the wilderness. Caleb was about 45 years old when that promise was given. And they wandered, and they did not get the promise because somebody said we are like grasshoppers. Well, grasshoppers don't last long. Think about it. They can be dangerous, but they don't last long. And the Bible said they all died in the wilderness with the exception of the two. 40 years later, Caleb came to Joshua and said, now that the Lord has brought us in this place, I want what is mine. And by the way, what belongs to me is in those mountains. Now, why do you want an 85-year-old man climbing the mountain? But he said, that's where my position are. That is where my blessings are. And by the way, I know that there are some giants still up there. And since they are still in the way, the promise that God gave me 40 years ago is still good. And by the way, just in case, Joshua, you're thinking differently, I am just as strong today, 45 years later, or 40 years later, as I was 40 years ago. I have no doubt that Joshua didn't look to see who he was talking to. Most likely, I would have looked back and said, well, 40, 45, 85, and I would be looking at the mountain, looking at the man. But Joshua didn't do that. He said, all right, whatever God said, you go. And he gave him. Caleb went into that mountain and took out all the giants of Anak giants, and took out all of them and reclaimed his position and spread his blessing. It would not have seemed that for such a man that something like that was possible. But when you know your position, when you know who you are and what you have, you don't let nobody determine how you live. You walk with your position, your authority, and your rank. You make your presentation known. Because when he went, I believe, when he went into that hilly country and those hillside and cave-like places where those giants were, Caleb makes such a presentation of himself that the giants had nothing to say, and they were all defeated. In light of all of that, I use him as an example because what the Lord has imposed upon me is that too many times we make excuses, and we have a lot of things to make excuses about. Well, I'm not as bright as he is. Well, I don't have the same qualification. Well, I'm past my years. Well, I'm this and I'm that. And we have a lot of things to make excuses about. Jesus, in the book of John, when John started out to make his presentation of Christ, he said something very strongly. In that he said he came to his own, but his own did not receive him. And he could have stopped there, but he said, but to as many as receive him, to them gave he the right or the authority to become and to be called the sons of God. Later, as he wrote in the epistle, he said, beloved, now are we the sons of God. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. It had nothing to do with what you do. It had nothing to do with what I did. It had everything to do with what Jesus did. And he said, now are we the sons of God. Which means that your position is of such. Regardless who will talk to you, nobody can challenge your position. Nobody can challenge your right. You have access to the throne room of God because you are a child of God. And in the book of Hebrew, he said, let us come boldly to the throne of God, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. Which means, no matter how often you go to God, nobody can tell you, hey, you pray too much. You can't keep going to God like that.